This is BleedTV, the only podcast for today's best shows and movies. I'm Zack.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Cash.
And tonight is WestWorld. This is Season 2, Episode 4, titled The Riddle of the Sphinx. Cash money, what does that mean?
Honestly, I could not tell you. We dove through Reddit and everything that we could, and it's a riddle. I mean, it was the perfect title.
I looked up a few people, and everybody told me that they didn't talk about the riddle itself. They just talked about what the answer is, and the answer was man.
What they assume the answer is man.
That's what everybody says, that I've read, is that the answer is man. So,
I mean, does anyone know a whole lot about sphinxes?
Not unless it was in Harry Potter.
I missed that section in world history.
Oh, yeah, my world history and geography teacher must have just zoomed right over it.
Probably got off.
Yeah, probably not the best.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess you can. I guess it shows some symbolism too. If the answer is truly man, I'm guessing that is very much to the heart of what the episode kind of reveals and shows you by the end of it.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could think of with it being man, now with what you're bringing it up, is I read an interesting theory about, we've had him say, oh, you got to go back to go forward and everything. There is a theory that Man in Black Ed Harris has to kill William to be able to go forward. Not really sure how we're going to get through all of that. But since, I mean you said the answer could
LSD,
be man and everything.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, it could be through just creating a clone and everything and somehow killing yourself.
I don't know. I think when we get to that part, we can kind of cross that bridge. I know we put feelers out there, and that's the primary theory.
Yeah.
People wants to know this, that, or so on. But what did you think of the episode overall? Let's go that route.
Phenomenal. Like, I mean, they still have yet to put out a bad episode.
I mean, maybe I just can't remember all the episodes, but I think this is my favorite episode they've ever made.
I'm with Jake. To me, just the absolute holy crap through majority of this episode was just so dynamic. It was an hour. Was it over an hour? It was a little over an hour. It was just felt like a whole movie, and it was just nonstop amazing. We got some cool reveals, some cool characters back. Some of the acting. I mean, Delos. I mean, that guy.
Dude,
wow.
Crushed. Him and Abernathy can pull off the glitches like nobody else on the show.
And then, of course, Ed Harris, just, home run. Just saying, man, this episode, which is crazy, like, there was zero Dolores in it and zero a lot of other things, but, man, it was just so good.
They pushed Shogun World off an entire another episode, and I didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get any of Dolores or Teddy, and no Maeve or any of that kind of stuff.
None of the main players.
And it didn't matter. It was just that damn good. I was really impressed. Like, I'm with Jake. To me, could be the best episode of WestWorld.
And shout out to whoever the soundtrack guy is, but he's absolutely crushing it.
Oh, man, every episode.
Yeah, like he played Runaways by Kanye in the first episode.
Yeah.
This episode, he starts with the Stones, and I was like, can we just keep this going on for like another 2 or 3 minutes?
Yes, it was crazy. All right, did y'all in the very beginning of the episode? Yeah, like you said, the music playing, the vinyl.
Coolest vinyl player I've ever seen in my life,
no
by
doubt.
the way.
All this stuff. All right, for some reason this stuck out, and I was telling my wife, the second we saw Delos, I was like, oh yeah, he's not real, and she's like, what? I was like, you didn't see that? And people were like, so I was on social media and all like that, and they're like, what are you talking about? I said, he was smoking, and when he went to exhale, and nothing came out. But he showed him exhale.
Yeah.
So no smoke was released. I said, oh yeah, he's a robot. He's a host. And she's like, what? And I rewound it 3 times for my wife, and she's like, holy crap. And sure enough, later on in the episode, we find it out. And I was like, it's the coolest little detail that probably most people missed over. It was just like so significant to me. I was like, why does he not,
But it was also pointed out to me, I did not catch this, a work friend pointed this out to me, that in the opening credits, where the woman's holding a baby, if you look above her, there's a round fixture kind of thing. It's the round fixture that's in his domicile. In the middle of his house.
Huh. Did not see that.
I didn't either. He just pointed it out to me. And I was like, pretty sweet. I mean, that's like just a little tiny Easter egg they put in there, kind of to show you possibly what the mother and the child represents.
Right.
You know, which is what we always thought was possible, creating an AI.
Yeah.
You know.
And this episode went to show us that we might be way off on that idea as well.
I don't know if we're way
Maybe.
off. I would just say maybe it's just a little bit different direction of the final output, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's in Delos. It shows him jerking off in the back in his bed, you know, and exercise,
riding bike,
riding bike,
brushing teeth, jerking it,
you know,
smoking a cigarette,
trying to make coffee, but he shakes and spills like every time.
Right. Yes.
And one time he like spills a lot.
Yeah,
The very first time he does a lot.
Yeah, and he's just looking at it, which I didn't know if he was looking at it because he's like, "Why am I spilling it?" or just he couldn't control it anymore.
Well, we've kind of seen this before, where a bartender,
yeah,
you know, would spill.
Well, he's got the shaky hand and everything.
You know what I mean? And then later on, obviously, we see even more of this type of thing. But we've seen it before, where it's just like a glitch.
Oh yeah, because it was the same bartender in season 1. Like, I mean, we had that bartender back in, I think it was episode 2,
something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll talk about that whenever that scene arrives.
So William, you know, not necessarily young William. I don't know if y'all noticed, but they gave Jimmy some gray highlights, and he had an extra couple wrinkles.
Yeah,
you know, so this is
very subtle makeup.
Right. This is post Dolores for him.
We always know if it's post Dolores because he has neck beard.
Yeah, he's scruff.
He's scruffy. So that's when you know he's depressed. Okay? Or when he's going dark.
Yeah.
But you're right. He has a little bit of, you know, gray in there or like that. But we also know this is 7 years later.
Correct.
He's becoming more of the Man in Black.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. And they go through a conversation, have that bottle of drink, and great lines, you know, like if you're going to cheat the devil, you got to have an offering, and then you get that unraveling where, you know, he's like, I didn't recover, did I? You know, I didn't make it, you know, and it was just like, it was that moment of, holy crap, you know.
But remember, though, it made me think they succeeded when he starts asking about his wife and his daughter and his grandchild. And you see he's tearing up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's feeling it. But, you know, later on, obviously, he starts glitching out and stuff like that. But it's like, they really, like, played with you a little bit.
They did.
They make you think they succeeded at first.
They really do.
And when they, you know, he makes that comment of that I sunk all that money into that, you know, disease research to try to save me. I didn't recover. You know, they throw some little details.
No. He defunded the research company that would have been the one that saved his life.
Okay, so I heard that backwards.
Yeah, you heard it backwards. He killed the company that would have eventually saved him, more than likely. He was like the ultimate irony. That's why he said my sense of humor is intact.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just coming back to bite him in his ass that he's a bad man.
Right. When William hands the letter to him, did y'all know immediately what it was?
Yeah.
I mean, like, my wife's it's like, what did he ask? And I was like, it's got to be the script.
Yeah, that's the script for what he's predicting that they're trying to make him say and have this conversation over.
No, not even a script. This is just a repeat. It's just recording.
It's a predictor to me. Like,
no, it wasn't a predictor. That's what I'm saying. Remember they said it's for fidelity, which means this is what he said last time. Does he say the same thing again? Okay, so it's not what they're predicting him to say.
It's what he said last time. It's what they're wanting him to say again and everything.
Right. So that's when they start unveiling, like, well, first time we did it, you lasted 35 minutes or something like that, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we're up to 7 days now.
Well, no, I think he got all the way up to like 34 days or something by the end of it.
The first one we saw, I think it was at 7 days.
Yeah, the first one it was.
And then they came back, and when they did the one much later in the episode, it was the 149th version. It was 35 days.
Yeah,
is what it was up to.
I think it was 7 years, and I think it was 3.5 days. The first time he talks to him. Maybe I'm wrong. I know it was 7 years later.
Yeah.
So, right, but yeah, it was I remember just thinking, he said this one lasted 7 days before you had your cognitive plateau, is what they called it. That was when he was a much older William, Men in Black, when he's pissed off and kind of tells him what it is and that kind of stuff. And to me, like when the older William talked to the new tech out there, and he's like, "Why did you do that?" He was stable, like he did it on purpose to create the unstable moment. Did y'all catch that?
Yeah. Well, every time they have to test him to see if if he can come up with things on the fly, and that's when he always falters when they try to throw some kind of
new
wild card at him.
Right.
But dude, all I want to almost focus on is the fact this guy just nails those glitches. Dude, when he stands up and he goes, "Fork," you're like, oh man, that's not a word. You know what I mean? He's like really struggling, dude.
Yeah.
But he nails it.
He does.
This actor absolutely crushes these scenes.
I mean, I hate to say it makes no sense with his accent or anything with anyone in the family, but I don't really care because it just plays so well.
Oh yeah, it's excellent.
Just let him do whatever he wants.
I agree.
And I really hope that we continue to see him on screen in this.
And don't forget, a lot of guys, especially businessmen, maybe they were born in Ireland or Scotland, wherever he's from, and then you come and you marry an American.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
And then your kids are raised here and everything.
Kids are raised here. So
they don't have the accent. You're still overseas.
Yeah, that's very possible. Of course, I know we've jumped to the older William version, but older William kind of unveils to him that no one's coming for you. No one's coming to save him. Logan died years ago of an overdose. Your wife died, was a stroke.
Your daughter died.
Your daughter committed suicide.
But he didn't tell him why his daughter committed suicide, right? He just said that she did.
She just said she did. And I think the reason for her suicide is going to come out later.
Yeah.
Because there is a scene in this episode where you see, William have these flashes of him running up the stairs.
Them together with Delos. So, Delos is working towards, answering the call, the door, and he's flipping through those sequences where he's running up the stairs. You see the hand come out of the tub, which looks like she slit her wrist, not that she took some pills.
Correct. Like that. That's the other thing. And I think the flashes were actually when Man in Black was debating on saving the woman that had the glass of nitro. Wasn't that the one that
No. That's his wife in a bathtub.
Correct. What I'm saying, I think, didn't he have those flashes right after when he was having a drink with the Confederate lieutenant?
With Lawrence or the...
Maybe so. I think you might be right, actually.
I think he was. I think when he was contemplating his things, he was having to make a moral decision, by not acting and not doing something like that. He lost his wife.
Because Lawrence brings up, didn't you have a wife and daughter?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think that's when he decides to tell him, hey, you didn't realize death is standing right next to you, right in front of you. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But so when they get done with Delos, of course, now this became the social media buzz that kind of blew me away. Is that why in the F did they incinerate everything in the room?
I don't know. They shut him down.
Yeah.
Pull him out and burn him.
Yeah.
It looked amazing, so I was okay with it. I didn't understand it, but I was like, this is the awesome. Coolest.
But my God, they got to replace this room every time.
All right. The only thing I'm mad about that some people on Reddit and some people on social media found, but I couldn't find any answers, is that they made a point to show you the book that he was reading. It was a blue covered hard book that had a white little fine letter design on it. It was on the bed, opened face down. When he was talking to William, it was on the table, closed in front of them. When old William came back, it was on the table, but in a different location. They made a point to keep putting that book in line sight of a lot of shots when they dealt with Delos. I noticed it once, but I didn't realize they kept putting the book back into different locations. But I never got any answer on if there was any significance to the book.
I don't know.
I mean, I've seen a picture of it, but it's not good enough picture for you to look at it and go, I know exactly what that is, or to even reference it,
I mean, I kind of just want to say maybe we're trying to look too deep into just a book.
But the thing is, too, the directors and writers know everybody's hunting theories.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So they're putting red herrings out there.
And they're big trolls. The writers and the directors, they love trolling fans.
That was what's so crazy about this episode is they blew everybody away with giving you all these answers.
Yeah.
In an episode 4. Most people are like, what the hell are we going to watch for the next 6 episodes? They gave up so much info. mean, they could have drug out each one of these storylines for a couple episodes.
Oh, very easily. But, I mean, by giving us answers, there's still one or two questions that are now asked, and it's just like...
My thing is, they gave you this perfect episode of this group. Now, next episode, give us a perfect episode of the other group, you know what I mean? You're just salivating the whole time.
I think asking for a perfect episode of the other group as well is asking a little too much, but we'll see.
I agree. The actors aren't as strong on that group as they are in this one, but...
Well, I mean, they can be, but like I just don't see us getting that many answers 2 weeks in a row as well.
No.
I doubt it.
I think tomorrow's going to be more about...
Tomorrow, like you
next
just sleep
episode.
it all the way through?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to wait on the show. Just sleep all the way through.
I think the next episode is going to be more about showing you the wider, broad canvas of what WestWorld and the parks are.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be pretty sweet. The next scene that comes up is you see the old man in black and Lawrence, and they're coming up to Asian railroad workers, and they're building a railroad in the wrong direction. And they're building it west instead of north. And then they're using bodies as cross
guests. Using the guest as cross ties.
Well, I mean, it should work out for like, what, one train ride, if that?
Oh, it'd be awful.
Yeah.
Good derailing this will give you.
I wouldn't mind being like the 40th person on that.
They were showing them packing dirt around them, so they give you a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
It'll be a little bumpy right there.
Yeah, a little more
But-
stability.
What a horrific way to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Held
but-
down and have a spike go through you?
Yeah, just a railroad
Jesus.
spike just run through you.
Yeah, bad crucifixion until the train comes to end it.
And I like how Man in Black just
Doesn't care.
didn't say a word. No, he knew.
Oh,
He
yeah.
got his ass drug right off that horse and put into that track, too. It's like the guy looked at him. He's like, yeah, you better.
Are you good? Or he's like, you know what?
Do you
I don't know any of
think
those people.
that's a clue?
No, I don't think that's a clue. I think it was more of just showing you, like, hey, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Because they could find out you're a guest, too. You know, but then the fact that he says these tracks are supposed to be heading north, not west, that's obviously something.
Right. Yeah,
Do we think that they're trying to lead us somewhere by heading west?
Well, I'm sure.
yeah.
Because, I mean,
You gotta understand, these are all... I'm assuming Ford is manipulating all of this.
Still.
So, I'm not calling it assume. Well, we know that he can just hop into whoever he likes.
true. I
You
mean,
know what I'm
he's
saying?
hopped in, what, every episode? Or was last episode he didn't?
This is the fourth episode. We know
yeah.
he's been in at least 3.
No, he wasn't
As a
in it
child?
last episode.
He was himself as a young version.
Young
He
child.
was in the girl in this one, and then he was the guy from Breaking Bad.
In
when he
two.
committed suicide. So that's
So-
3.
3
Yeah, and he
episodes
wasn't-
this season. No, and then there was another one, too.
No, I don't think he was in one last, because we didn't have the Man in Black last episode. We didn't have Ed Harris, I don't think.
Oh, man, I swear there was one more, but maybe you're right.
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
No. Nice little paycheck for old Anthony Hopkins
Yes.
still.
All right, so Clementine is still dragging Bernard and drags him all the way to this cave, and leaves the rifle. He goes inside, and ding, 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 Elsie is alive. She's got protein bars, ketchup packets, everything else on the ground.
Who thought there was a bear or something inside this cave? The first noise. Like when she leaves the rifle.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then it makes some noise in the cave, and I'm like, oh shit. I thought we were going to get a cool animal sequence. That he just,
I didn't. To me, like, the whole reason Clementine leaves him there with her weapon, I was just kind of like, to me, she's doing her own thing. That's not a part of what Dolores would say or do. So to me, I was very intrigued.
Ford, you think Ford would send Bernard over here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, why is Clementine dragging him over to this spot?
Well, because he needed to get the fluid and everything. And this was the easiest way to do it.
I mean, does Ford know that Bernard put
Yes.
her over here?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because, I mean,
Well,
Bernard
according to
didn't do
him,
it.
Bernard, he was under his orders to do so. You know,
Yeah,
get
I
rid of
agree.
Elsie.
But they made it look like he killed her.
It did.
Yeah. But he just showed, Elsie would have stalled or perhaps messed up the plan, but he didn't want to kill her. And so just knocking her out long enough for the plan to be put into action was all that Ford cared about.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy to see Elsie. It was
I
cool.
was too.
love,
Yeah.
I love her wit and her attitude and spunk on the situation.
I mean, I was happy until it blew out the entire Ghost Nation theory because now I have no idea what Elsie's purpose is.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. This episode was so great because we talked about, 7 different theories the last time we spoke, which was awesome with Kelly Choi, by the way. And all those theories pretty much got answered.
Yeah.
In some roundabout way. In this
For better
episode.
or worse, they were answered. And now it's like,
But it was nice to know we were pretty close on a majority of them, or on point. But anyway, so Elsie's alive. There's some distrust. Finally, Bernard get ready to leave, and he's like, wait a minute. So this is when he starts having these flashes, or these are his visual memories of himself.
This is what Dolores was always fighting.
yes.
Or dealing with.
Right. So he sees himself going back into the cave, and he's like, okay, there's something more to this cave. We're right here at a facility. And he goes inside
And just starts searching.
dude, how cool. Who's the artisan that made this rock just swivel up and turn into a door? Was it not so impressive?
It is. It's great. And it swivels up, and it's like some super high-tech door handle.
Yeah.
on it. I'm like, good grief.
It's like,
Just the prop makers on this crap.
we could have gone simple, just, pull a lever or something, but no. Like Jake said, super futuristic, pull out, up and turn. And then the door. I love whenever there's that secret door that pushes up a little bit.
First.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh.
Because the crack shows, and then it opens.
All right, so when the door opened, did y'all notice when they got inside and the door closed, they had the number 12 on the outside of the door?
Yes.
Okay?
Sector, right?
But she said we're in sector 22, but the door said we were in 12. But the door's not signifying what sector they're in, but the door said 12.
Could be lab 12 or...
Right. I think the number is significant. Again, I look at every little detail what the hell could this mean,
Agreed.
I just don't... But this seems like no one knows about this lab. So I think it has something to do with Ford that we just can't possibly know yet.
Well, here's the thing about this. I sat there and I thought about this lab. I think the reason they made it so significant is, all right, we got the whole Young, William, and Delos and the whole 9 yards, right? Mm-hmm. This lab, we go through all these things to find out this is the lab right outside where Delos' containment area is, where he's living, right? All right. In my thought, this is something Ford would never know. This is something they're doing on the side. This is something Bernard would not be a part of or anything else. So for them to show a memory of him going in there and being a part of this or so on, are we to say that, does that mean that Bernard and Ford are a part of this process?
Have to be.
Where they were a part of trying to create Delos? Or was William on his own? Is it being secretive?
I'm a firm believer of anything happening in any of the worlds, like any of these parks, Ford knows about.
See, to me, him having memories of this place of an earlier time,
yeah,
and he's like, he knows the drones, and the workers there know Bernard.
Well, I mean, these are the same workers.
Yeah, like he's like, hey, he asked Bernard for help. Don't do this, and they still kill him when you see those flashes and stuff like that. So to me, Bernard is a part of this process. He knows what that ball is. He knows what those things are making. He knows all of this. So to me, that means Ford knows exactly what's going on in that lab and that they're creating versions of Delos and the whole 9 yards. So that, to me, he is a part of this.
I'm right there with you.
Because remember who's going against Man in Black? It's Ford.
Yeah.
So if Ford knew what was going on in this and figured out what they were trying to do, I mean, he could do whatever he always does, which is just, I'll help you, whatever the case may be. But in the background, he's pulling strings. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, maybe these are the reason that Delos never fully comes out is because Ford's always keeping him.
Well, that's my thought, is because if you couldn't advance it past one point, that's telling me Ford's messing it up. But
possibly.
Well,
but it was cool because we didn't talk about it. But when he tells him, he goes, "Your conscience is rejecting,
like a bad liver or something."
But it's like, it's rejecting the idea of being immortal. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like your you is like, no, this comes to an end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't keep going. It's almost like your own conscience is rejecting even the ability to do it. That's kind of what he told him. They can't explain it because there's no words for it. But
it's the first run of it, and like he said, when you die, you're meant to die. That's what a creature is.
Some men aren't meant to live forever, And he includes himself in
Yeah,
that
he
too.
goes, you, because you're a philanderer jerk who had terrible children, all that stuff like that. And he goes, and, people like me as well. So,
But I mean, to me, it was just Ford knows about it, is stalling it, but he has worked past it and has found a way to do it for himself.
Right.
Now
Remember, Ford has been here since day one, right?
Yes.
yeah,
Doing
it's
this.
him and Arnold's tech doing
Right.
everything.
So if William had to hire them, you know what I mean, to do this stuff, like they would be aware of what they're trying to do. I don't necessarily know if they means they knew they were collecting data on all guests, but I think he would know that they were trying to recreate Delos.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think William knew that they were trying to recreate Delos because William's obviously a part
No,
of it.
William knows.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Ford.
Oh,
and
I mean,
Bernard.
yeah.
Or Arnold at the time.
Well, I don't think it was Arnold at the time because I think Arnold died before.
No, I'm talking about when they first start this whole deal.
Yeah.
Because remember, he's dying at the party.
Yes.
Okay? And this is very soon afterwards. He has died, and they're trying to recreate him.
Well, Arnold's already dead by that point.
Well, I'm just saying, it's in the 7-year span.
Yeah.
So it's like, what they knew and what they were helping with at the beginning, they don't really make clear.
True.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Ford's helping, I'm using that in quotation marks, the entire way through the entire Delos project. I just think he's also stalling it. But I could be wrong in that part of it.
Don't know.
Yeah, like we just haven't been given that information.
If you want to get into what it is, before we actually walk in there and they see the old lab, and we see Delos still alive in there with his face all cut up, they have these flashes, and then you have some key spots where Bernard tells Elsie, I'm not really here, or you're not really here, or different things. And I had this like sixth sense moment of, wait a minute, where's the red doorknobs and everything else, This is the part like I needed to watch 3 or 4 times, and I'm trying to figure out what are they trying to confuse the viewer with? What are they trying to show us that they're not trying to show us? Because to me, they always had Elsie in the picture unless you saw a second Bernard in the picture, if that makes sense.
I still think they were all past memories.
Even with Elsie, or just...
The last one where he says, you're not here with me, are you? You see her kind of go off doing her own thing.
She went off to the door.
And his focus changes
To that little ball.
Well, looking at the printer.
Yeah.
That prints what looks like is inside the little red brain casings. But we now know that little printer shouldn't be here.
No.
And that's what Elsie was talking about. She's like, why would that be here? Because this is the ones that they're putting inside Delos.
Yeah, that's that little ball making the memory and everything.
Right.
Well, I guess not memory, but...
Well, no, the conscience.
There we go.
The uploadable new brain.
Mm-hmm.
What
Which
they're trying to accomplish.
Bernard grabs and puts in his pocket.
But that's the biggest new theory now. Whose brain is in that ball?
Well, and when does he grab it?
Well, he grabs it at the time that they kill all the workers. And when they walked in with Elsie, the workers were already dead. So
yeah, it's a past.
It's a past event. How long ago? They don't really give you any clues on that.
Well, I mean, I'm still even trepidatious to say it then, just because they threw 8 different timelines in there with us, and they can say he grabbed that during any timeline.
Okay, but the thing is, all these deaths are recent.
Yes.
The guy that's inside with Delos, we saw he was the tech that William talks to at the end.
Which, great job of them bringing in a new person for that.
But he's not decaying or looking terrible. And neither are the scientists that Bernard kills. All these deaths are recent.
Correct.
They have to be by the...
They're not fresh. They're not rotting.
So what I'm assuming is this was the last task that Ford set Bernard to before Dolores blows Ford's head off at the party.
Okay.
That's why I'm assuming that this is Ford's upload. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so let's follow that timeline like you're talking about. So Ford gets killed. Mm-hmm. All right. We are thinking last time we saw this, Bernard was in a barn. Hale and them escape. He gets back. She takes him down to a secret lair. He doesn't remember what it is. He puts fluid in his head to survive.
Realizes they're gathering data on the guest.
Right, does all that stuff, and then they sort of like, we got to go find Peter Abernathy. They go and find him. He sings, causes a problem. He gets captured. Hale disappears, and then
But Bernard gets to see the massive file.
he does. But we go overnight, so we have an overnight scene.
And Bernard did not take the file. We were completely dead wrong on that.
And so it's the next day, and so these people had to die literally to not look like they're rotting or bloating or anything like that. I think Jake's right. I think they have to be literally have died right before, all
Right.
the crap hits the fan.
That's what I'm saying. This is like the last hurrah. Ford's last,
Yeah.
thing pushing Bernard. Because Bernard even says in this episode, please trust me, this is the first time I've actually been free. We don't even know if that's the case.
True, yeah.
But he says it.
Correct.
And so that gives us a max of 3 to 5 days?
To me, 3 days.
I mean, I don't know what the temperature is down there.
I feel like since the party
Yeah.
where the host turned, it's been like 3 days.
Yeah.
Because, we know because of episode 1, it was 11 days. Like when Bernard's meeting back up with Floki or whatever his name is.
Right.
Like at that thing. So it can't be past that.
Right, and you got to remember the group that Teddy doesn't kill
Yeah.
is now being met with the Man in Black later in this episode. So it's like, what are the days on that timeline? You know what I'm saying? They could be close.
Yeah. It could be 2 or 3 days behind that.
Yeah.
Don't know yet.
And like now that we have Bernard on 8 different timelines, like just in this thing, I'm just using 8 as a random example again. They've thrown a monkey wrench kind of in everything and trying to figure it out.
There is no doubt there. All right, so we're here. All right, so who is the second printed person? Because they, Elsie and them just say, there's 2 printed individuals. Number 149, Delos, is one of them. Who is the second mystery person? So we put the whole poll out there, and the vast majority thinks that that Hopkins is going to make a surprise reprisal of himself, that he has created himself, and that the consciousness has been mastered, and he's doing it for himself. That's the most popular theory, but there are a lot of people who have strong arguments for the original Arnold. There's some arguments for Arnold's child Charlie. There's arguments for Maeve. There's also one for Dolores. And then some people are just doing some random stuff.
I mean, the most obvious guess, which is scary to say, is just Ford, isn't it?
It is. Well, I could say, I don't believe it's Dolores at all, because Dolores was never a human.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the point of creating a human consciousness to put in Dolores' body, unless some people are like, well, she is the favorite, so if you wanted to make her real, like truly real, you would put somebody into her.
Okay.
Remind me when Arnold dies.
Okay.
Actual Arnold.
Early years of the park, before.
It was like 35 years ago.
Yes.
Because he dies before the park opens.
Yeah, he almost didn't fully open because he
because he wanted to prevent it by dying.
Right, but his last hurrah was to put a virus, Wyatt. Correct?
The reverse.
No.
Was
he
his.
put Wyatt into her personality, because Wyatt's storyline has the capability of killing someone where Dolores did not. And so by putting Wyatt into her, it gave her the capability of becoming a murderer and shooting people. Because Wyatt was the fictional story of the guy who came into town, who was a former soldier or leader of soldiers, and killed everybody in the town. And so, when he went there and put that into her, that would allow her to kill him.
But if I can guess where you're going, I do like Bernard as the best theory for it
I
being.
think Arnold.
Yeah.
Is,
okay. The other body.
Just thinking about that was like, man, you know what? Arnold would be pretty badass to be the one to play the long game on Ford.
Absolutely.
Because Ford obviously loved Arnold and stuff like that. Remember, even talking to him with Dolores at the city thing, he's like, this stuff used to, be flattering to me or whatever. I can't remember what he said, but
now that you're playing favorites and everything, it's wearing a little thin.
Right. Because Arnold fell in love with the hosts.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He was like, they can be real. You know,
Almost like children.
Right. They're just as, you know, welcome to life as we are. Mm-hmm. Is what he's kind of saying. So it's like, man, wouldn't surprise me if he was like, you know, he's figured it out. You know what I mean? Or something. You know what I mean? And now that's the ball that Bernard collects.
Yeah, because you were talking about it, Zach, 2 episodes ago or last episode, where there was Bernard and Hale looking at 3 or 4 different copies of Bernard.
That's a preview.
There's a preview picture that shows 3 or 4 different versions of Bernard, and 2 of them have like damage where like he's been killed, and 2 other are in plastic. And you know, and she's wearing the same outfit she has on now, which looks like, you know, a cattleman's outfit, you know, and everything else. So that has been shown as a preview down the road.
So I mean, that could possibly be his printed bodies from this machine.
Could be, but also we know Ford was printing Bernard.
True.
You know,
so I mean, it could simply be that, but it could also just be Arnold, like you said, of doing this in secret.
Sometimes, you know, the most obvious can be, you know, sometimes like simplest answer can be true.
What is that? Somebody's Law or something?
Occam's Razor.
Yeah, Occam's Razor.
And to me, here's the deal. Think about season 1. What was the big reveal at the end of season 1? Bernard is a host of Arnold.
Yeah.
Remember, that was it. I don't see season 2 of Arnold is still alive Bernard. I just don't see that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I got an idea.
All right.
William's quest was to bring back Delos. What if at the same exact time, Ford's trying to bring back Arnold, and he's working against him? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both... William doesn't know he's trying to make Arnold again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Even though William knows who Bernard is a copy of.
I don't think William does know.
Well, Bernard looks like Arnold.
Yeah, but I don't think William ever met Arnold.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm just saying, what if Bernard is Ford's attempt at Delos? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both trying to do it. If Ford finds out what they're trying to do with Delos, would he then try to do it himself as Arnold?
I mean, I think that's a real possibility.
It's a possibility. If we remember season 1, Arnold's passion was trying to make it where you create something and make it human. Give it a consciousness. Season 2, we've transferred a consciousness to these hosts, and so they're half robot, half human. But we're failing. But we're not seeing what the reason we're failing is because of who is doing. We don't know who's actually creating and doing the tech for it. They don't get you that answer. And so to me, that's the thing. We don't know if Ford is involved with the creation of the tech or the code, or because like Bernard said, this is a code I've never seen before. To me, that is a big clue that that's not something that's Ford or Bernard's way of doing things. I think the other ball, to me, I go back to what would be a coolest reveal ever at the end of this is if Anthony Hopkins walks out and says, "Here, bitches, here I am." You know, you just thought you were ever in control. You know,
right, I'm going to give you your theory. I think Ford was trying to create Arnold. I think that's what will come out at the end. That's why there's bodies of Bernard. You know, just because these are the failures, just like the terminations they were doing to Delos, that it could possibly come out that Arnold is the one he's attempting the fidelity of.
So he's trying to bring his friend back.
But do you think he could have gotten enough of his brain to do it?
He only has to know him for so long. Remember? It's like...
I could see... Because he's able to do this to Bernard because he can just kind of type that code in. But to grab someone's consciousness, Delos was talking about they were running all those tests and everything. And I'm not sure Ford would have ever been able to get those tests from Arnold.
Unless he was always testing Arnold.
Ooh, that's a big one right there.
Yeah, see, that's the whole deal. Is I think I'm with Cash. Like, I think Arnold was all passionate about wanting to make these things real and give them their own way of creating a consciousness like that. I just don't see it. Unless he was testing himself to how to figure out how a consciousness could be transferred, but then realized Ford is actually collecting that data and thus making a way to make Arnold. you could see where doing his own homework on yourself could ultimately lead to, oh, by the way, I've got enough to make you now.
Yeah, but then also that would come down to Arnold having to be like, hey, I trust you enough to give you this information or anything. Or maybe he just had it lock and key, and after he died, Ford found it.
Here's another part of this. What does the intro of the show always show you? It shows a mother and child. Are we trying to create something in regards to that? Some people have the argument that Maeve, that we're trying to create something with that. To me, Maeve is not on the radar for this. I think her whole storyline is truly go find a child and to go down that road. See,
Maeve is confusing me now because of her power. She was upgraded, right? Full bars.
Yeah, she's the ultimate.
To everything. To the point where she could control people and stuff. But now I feel like where does her power stop? And is it inconsistent now?
It is.
Well, I mean, we don't know if it's inconsistent now just because Ghost Nation's still kind of throwing a wrench in everything.
But they also say Ghost Nation's an older model, older server, this, that, or so on, where maybe that doesn't connect.
The problem that's a very convenient one, though.
It is.
And I mean, we haven't beaten them for it because they kind of laid it out before it happened, but
I don't know. We just went way off the deep end. But
yeah, I'm excited to see what Shogun does for Maeve next episode because, I mean, I think that's when we'll be able to tell how powerful Maeve is and everything and if she's still confusing us.
We'll see.
Well, speaking of Ghost Nation, one of the next things that pops up is it shows the Ghost Nation bring... All right, well, so I guess this is this really Emily now, not Grace, because she at the end of the show, she reveals that she's the Man in Black's daughter, which, according to everything else, is a girl named Emily. She's tied up, and they come, and then the Ghost Nation has all these humans...
Including
guests.
Stubbs? Is that
Ashley. Right? How dare you use his last name and give him something cool.
Yes, Stubbs, security detail. All sitting
where
there.
did he come from in this?
Well, I mean, we knew he was
captured.
Yeah.
He was captured in season 1.
I know, but he's also in the Floki timeline.
But that's in the
later.
future.
That's in the future.
Remember, that's 11 days in the future.
Okay, you're
right. So, this is still us climbing, because I still think that this season's just 11 days. I mean, it's going to end right there.
Keep climbing towards that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, of course, he tells her, hey, they're not killing people. I'm not testing that theory.
I'm with her. I'm not waiting to see if these guys are good.
Yeah.
And,
like I said, they eventually take him over to this edge. It looks like a watery edge, and line them all up. And I'm thinking, yeah, they're toast. And, of course, she's able to get away. I thought her getting away was a little too easy.
A little? I mean, these are people who are scouring all over WestWorld and everything.
But they weren't going to chase her.
Right.
That's the only thing I could say is...
Initially, I was like, wait, that's a little too easy. But then when they did the whole deal at the end of, what was it was the Coco speech, what the Indian told her. You only live as long as the people who remember you. Mm-hmm. Which is like a classic line from the animated movie Coco,
It's any Day of the Dead type deal.
Day of the Dead.
But I mean, if I see that, I'm just taking off after her once I realize they're not chasing anybody.
Well, they put a knife to his throat before he could move. And then he whispers in his ear. So,
I mean, he obviously makes the right decision because we see him alive later in the show. So
I've had a lot of people questioning whether or not this is somebody in this makeup that we've already seen before.
Well, I recognize the actor.
Because it looks like a white guy in Native American makeup. His features.
Okay.
And a lot of people asking me at work today are like, do we know this guy? Have we seen him before in the series? I don't remember anybody, but...
I don't remember him anything.
He doesn't strike any resemblance to anybody I've seen on the show, to me.
Yeah, but I just got asked a couple times.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if it's truly something, if there's a big reveal, it ends up being Arnold or whoever. No. I mean, I know it's not going to be Arnold, but just, I don't see it being anybody we know.
So who's controlling Ghost Nation?
Ford?
But why is he saving Guest?
Why would anyone save Guest?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make...
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. One thing I did like was, did y'all see that we had the 2 party guests from season 1?
Oh yeah,
Were in there. He's like, "Oh, you and your fantasy. Now you're gonna get us effing killed." You know.
yeah.
That was a good little callback, man. I really enjoyed that.
But I mean, there really is no obvious answer to control.
There is
because
no.
it wouldn't be Delos, because they would just use Ghost Nation to find Peter.
I mean, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
it's
Well,
not-
to me, their storyline, if you're an Indian nation, is that you go and capture humans, but you can't harm them. So to me, they're still doing their
But everyone's broke free of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, look at the Chinese railroad.
But you have to understand that too, is that the Confederates are still searching for glory. The Chinese people are still building railroads. You know, their direction might be a little
different
changed.
direction, and they're murdering people. No,
Yeah, no, like
and they're murdering guests.
they're off their code, in my opinion. Still,
All right. Well, there's no explanation
And-
for Ghost Nation.
This guy's accent totally changes when he whispers in his ears,
Yeah.
almost like Arnold does every time he's playing a character.
and if they are hunting to protect him, then they're still going to go after Emily. They're not just going to let her escape.
Who knows?
Who knows, man?
And so, yeah, if anyone has any guess or wants to take stabs at who's controlling Ghost Nation, or just what the F they're doing,
Well,
please
it would make
let us
sense that Ford would want to bring her near William. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like use them to bring her close to where she's supposed to meet up with him.
So ultimately, do you think that Ford wants William to figure out the maze?
I don't know. I think he wants them to get to the end. You know what I'm saying?
It's a
Yes,
game, man. It's a
but-
game.
Man, like this is just so confusing. Like trying to figure out is there a way to win the maze, do we think?
Well, for William to win it is to bring the whole place down, burn the whole thing down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Speaking of Men in Black, William, the next scene, it shows them show up at Lawrence's hometown. Nobody's around. The place is dead as a hammer. They take a seat at the table out in the middle of the street. Bartender shows up.
And this was just like back in season 1, episode 2.
Correct.
And instead of William playing his character, the Confederado guy is playing the Man in Black from back in season 1. And now William's just kind of part of the execution party, or supposed to be.
Yes.
I guess. Well, they go into the church. You see him having this conversation, and he's talking, and he's like, "I've seen the light have been resurrected," and we have the picture of Jesus on the wall.
Which a lot of Jesus references. Like, I mean, this is like
Yeah,
the
a lot of
10th one this
symbolism,
season.
resurrection. You know, things.
Oh
that
man, we didn't even talk about Delos's. You know, when they go inside. You know, and she's cutting his face up and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But he says, he was like, there's only one God. And the devil is just the reflection of God looking down. And when you see it and stuff like that, I was like, woohoo, that's wicked.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
I totally forgot about that
Yeah,
spot,
dude,
man.
that was wicked as
'Cause
hell.
he-
That's
you know,
some Event
it was some
Horizon
creepy shit
shit.
right there too, because when he was
Oh.
on the bike, just randomly in there,
Yeah.
I was like, dude's dead over in the corner. It was like, what?
Anyway, yeah.
So, of course, Lieutenant, you know, he's this, and he's like, anybody want to be a representative, make a deal? This guy gets up.
Poor bastard.
And I've seen him in so many movies as an extra, stunt double, and everything. Just greases him.
I thought he stood a
Bang.
chance of staying alive too. I was like, he's gonna make this. He's gonna cut a good deal. Didn't even get the chance to make it. He's like, I'm not interested in making a deal. I was like, and I'm
He
no
says
longer
that,
staying-
and then Men in Black's like, I'll make a deal. I'm like, you see the last guy who tried to make a deal, you know?
Well, that's why Lawrence is like, what the fuck?
And so, of course, he's like, you know, hey, you want your guns? Well, they're in an unmarked grave out back, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, you don't negotiate real well. You ain't really figured this out. And he goes, well, you think you know what you want, but you really don't know what you want. You don't know where you're going either,
Yeah.
you know? And,
I'm gonna tell you how to get there.
Your men think you do, but you don't really know. Dude, this turns into one of the best scenes they have ever done.
Man, I mean, we get the bartender coming back out.
Awful.
The bad poor hand, and I was like, man, we're showing this again for a reason. And yeah,
Nitro arm.
dude,
you
his
need a
arm.
steadier hand. I am tense the entire. As soon as he starts pouring this nitro,
So do you think he was going to shoot it, or do you think he was going to drop it on accident?
I thought he was going to drop it.
I thought he was going to drop it, too.
100%. I thought he was dropping this bad boy. And then when he makes that turn, I was like, we did it. Now he's just going to make him hold it. Nah.
No.
Just blast it.
Blow his armor off his body. This is like Predator shit right here.
Thing of beauty. One of the best explosions I've ever seen, and then just clean off. There goes the arm. Or I guess half the arm.
Right. But this is the first time we get to see William, like, have feelings for something terrible happen to a host.
Well, and it's weird because, like I said, back in season 1, he kills this bartender. Like, greased him. And greased all of Lawrence's cousins. No remorse. And now that he's, I guess, a victim in this situation, he's kind of changing his past. You know, to go forward, you got to go backward. And so maybe this is part of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But this whole sequence of him sitting at the table with the Confederado guy, which I know this actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. But he starts talking about, you know, you think you're favored by death and all this stuff.
Death is always true. You know, it's always final. Da, da, da. And so, you know, you didn't recognize him. Death is sitting across from you.
Yeah.
You know?
That gets him with the bottle in the throat. And, yeah, I was so happy that's not how the guy died, though.
Yes.
I was like, oh, yeah, no way.
Okay, and a lot of these hosts weren't dying by headshots. And they've already been resurrected. So their kill switch should be off. So did anyone have a problem?
Or it's just a reset, turning back on. And then if he gets shot and killed again, he gets shot and killed again.
Okay, so like maybe the reset made
I thought about that too.
Okay.
You know, like it's not like you get turned on immortal. You know what I mean?
You remember when Dolores killed all these guys?
Yeah.
They had to go wake them back up.
Well, at that point, I just assumed Dolores just kept them up to be like, don't die at your kill shot. You know, like you're immortal, like you don't feel it anymore. Like Dolores, like she keeps just pushing through it.
How often have they shown Dolores actually being able to wake anybody up? You know what I'm saying?
Never without the thing.
So, you know, she gets the guy to wake them all up. You know what I mean? So, I think that's the key. I think Zach's right. You will go down, but you could be easily awakened.
Okay.
Right. Unless, like you said, you've been shot in the head and your CPU's toast or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that guy that walks out of the shadow in the doorway.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
That unit is down.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I love the human shield. You know, he takes one like in the shoulder.
Yep.
Like top of the shoulder, but he gets the rest of them nasty.
All right. William gets shot, and it looks to be a graze across the neck. Is that what y'all got?
That's what I was talking about. You got like neck shoulder region.
Right. Some people were like, that's proof that he's a host. And I was like, I didn't get that.
No, not how we've seen him react to getting hurt.
No. Well, I mean, if you remember season 1, at the last episode, it looks like he takes his arm off with one the shot to his arm. And then in season 2, you know, it's kind of just a nice little bullet hole. It's not near as catastrophe as what it made it look like in season 1.
Yeah. Catastrophic.
Yeah.
It's okay. I get your right.
Yeah. All right. So he ends up shooting all these Confederados. And the lieutenant's getting away. He takes the bottle of nitro, makes him drink a bunch of it, walks out, lets Lawrence do the coup de grace shot.
Yes.
And it is awesome. An explosion in the rain. It was just so cool, man.
This poor bastard, man. He got, what, 2 episodes? I think it's just 2. Because, you know, the stuff with Dolores happens really fast. You know, maybe it was 3 episodes.
I think he was in 2, 3, 4.
I mean, he probably had some episodes back in season 1 too. So I mean, he got his fill.
He was in the city thing too.
Yeah, that's right. He was in season 1. He was in episode 1. So I mean, just boom. You know, it's just nasty. I mean, just the explosions alone, from the hand exploding off and this guy exploding like it was in the rain, was just beyond awesome.
I really hope we just get more nitro in this show. Like, I mean, they've used it to perfection, and
they're introducing it quite a bit.
Yeah, and we still have a crap ton of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, we get more of it.
When it's daylight afterwards, you know, Lawrence is like, my cousins, some other gringos are going to help you. They'll believe in whatever. Blah blah blah. He walks over, and his daughter suddenly turns on the Ford voice, or talking like Ford. One good deed doesn't.
I remember all of your past and everything. Like you said, one good deed doesn't expel. But she also hit him with these things back in season 1. The daughter was the voice of reason when he was trying to leave back then too.
Yep.
And so I think his daughter's kind of got a little bit bigger of a role to play than just this, just because she has been so emphatic with everything.
Maybe. Or maybe these are just like certain characters that Ford has stuck himself in.
I mean, that's very possible because Man in Black has always had an affinity for Lawrence and everything, so his family using them.
Sees him constantly.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, the little girl makes the comment of, to move forward, you need to be looking, going backwards or something of that nature.
Or he says, if you're moving forward, you're going the wrong way.
Yeah, it says you're looking in the wrong direction. To move forward, you need to look back or whatever. And he makes the comment, well, I'm playing this game to the bone,
And she looks like she gets a little mad.
Yeah, she does a little bit.
And then just takes off, back as the daughter character.
Correct.
And the only person to be hijacked by Ford and still live. Because the other two were...
Greased.
Yep.
Some people say this is showing you that his cognitive mind is still alive for this to be happening. Because there's no way to predict that the Man in Black is going from here, there, yonder to accomplish his goals. So that you would have to have some way of actively see and making decisions.
I mean, I still personally believe that Ford is still alive, but for people to think that Ford isn't that much of a master of mind are also kind of foolish in my opinion. Because I think he would still be able to very much dictate where William is able to go, regardless if he's alive or not.
True. Yeah, I don't know. That is, like I said, not enough information yet.
Yeah. But I'm still sticking
clear.
with Ford's still alive in some shape, way, or form. Whether it's just his mind's been uploaded somewhere in the system or he created a copy of himself.
To me, that is the greatest reveal that the granddaddy puppet master is still being the puppet master. That would be the coolest reveal. But what you don't understand is we all, yes, there's one other person copy, but Ford also had his own office with his own printer too.
Yeah.
So
in his own house.
Right. And this is when you found in WestWorld, there could be another lab in Shogun World and Raj World or whatever, so you could think this is the theory, and the big question at the end of the season is this, and the reality of it is in 2 episodes they can answer the question, and there's a new huge theory, and you're just like, holy crap. Because season 1 is that you didn't realize it from episode 1 to episode 10, the reveal is that who's Arnold? And then when you figure it out, you're like, holy moly. This time they're trying to make it where you don't really know what the actual overall question is and what the big reveal is going to be.
Someone check payroll. That'll tell us if Anthony Hopkins is still alive.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Check plane flights. Let's get to the bottom of this.
So, and of course, the last scene is Emily shows up on horse and, hey, Dad, and there you go.
Had a way to not draw this bad boy out. Just
yeah.
Is Emily a host?
Ooh.
I'm going to say no.
All right, well, let me just...
Oh, yeah, spit this. Let's
something
hear
I was thinking about today. You see how old she is? All right.
Yes.
So, we know in 7 years, we saw her as a child at the party, remember?
We did.
So 7 years from then...
And Arnold was still alive at the time.
Right. But also, Delos is being worked on.
Yes.
And he tells them, your daughter's fine, granddaughter smart as a whip. And then we have 36 years? 35 years?
35, so this is probably like 36, 37.
Okay, so we don't know the gap between that one and then when old, Ed Harris shows up to talk to him. But it's a pretty good-sized gap, wouldn't you say?
You're correct.
30 years, you'd think, right?
Correct.
That puts Emily at
40.
I would say at least 45 and up. She don't look over 45 years old.
We got the timeline wrong somewhere.
How you figure? Tell me where I'm wrong.
I'm just...
Because, she's got to be, 5 at the youngest?
When we see her at the party, she looks like she's 6 or 7, maybe.
Correct.
All right.
But that's the park is already open. Arnold is already doing his thing.
If the park is open, Arnold's dead.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Like, the reason the park, they're looking for an investor, and they're showing off the goods, and WestWorld is the first part of it. And so the park, it's very possible the park is Arnold's about to die. And this girl is 5 or 6 years old, so that could make her that she's 35, 36 years old, which is plausible.
Well, no, because she's already 6 or 7 in that stage.
Or the timeline of the situation is that the reason they're looking at all this and they're looking for investors is because Arnold's died and they need money to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
To make this continue to work. So it could be post-death. And so if she's 6 or 7, and this is after Arnold's died, that means maybe that's 25 years later or 27 years later, whatever, which makes it more into the realm of appropriate age for what
early
she looks
mid-30s.
like.
No, what I'm saying is, we see her at the party.
Yes.
We all assume Delos, who's coughing at the party, dies
He's sick.
very soon.
Correct.
This, right?
But we don't know if Arnold's died.
Screw Arnold.
If the park is open, Arnold's dead.
Screw Arnold altogether. I'm not talking about Arnold. I'm talking about her.
Yes.
She's 6 or 7 at the party, right? 7 years go by, at the minimum, when Delos is inside his little domicile, and they're working to try to bring him back.
100%.
Right? They say 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay? Now she's 14, 15.
True.
Right? He comes and sees him one more time before he's old Ed Harris.
Correct.
I mean, from that version of William they show us, how old do you think the gap is between that version and Ed Harris?
20 years.
Oh, man.
20?
That's like 30.
That's rough aging right there.
That's the thing. How do you going to make Jimmy look like Ed Harris?
I know.
I mean, Ed Harris looks like he stood outside and been hit with a leather whip on his face for 20 years.
He looks like
and with the
he looks like beef jerky.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way around
beef jerky with blue eyes.
I'm just saying, there's something weird about the fact that she shoots a guy she only wants one to be with guest. You know what I'm saying? In the first episode.
True.
She looks really young based on the timelines they've given us.
True. But if she's a host, Ghost Nation wouldn't capture her.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah. I mean, but that's my biggest thing for her not being a host.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's correct or anything because we don't know anything really about Ghost Nation.
But wouldn't it also be the biggest FU from Ford to have cloned his daughter? You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying maybe not even your Arnold theory's right, but the more we're thinking about it, maybe the second host is Emily?
I'm not sure it's Emily either.
Okay.
I'm just saying it is something I've heard floated around. Is Emily human or a host?
I'm going to go with human.
I'm going human.
Just because seeing her leave WestWorld and everything.
Yeah, well, they tried to kill her in WestWorld, and then also Ghost Nation saved her. There's enough evidence to say that she's human. She's 100% fearful for her life.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, all right, here's to keep talking about her.
But I mean, she's supposed to be very jaded and hate her dad, and so just to greet him so casually, hey, Dad.
Yeah. Well, think about things she said and done. I don't want to leave this park. Mm-hmm. She also is fluent in the Indian language or the Native American language when they're talking. Did y'all notice that?
She says that she's been coming here for so long. She's been involved in all these parks, I think, since William and him.
She's probably on the development team in some shape, way, or form, in all honesty.
Or she just is here all the time because Dad's here all the time.
Yeah, daycare, just I'll just drop you off in WestWorld this week. I'll drop you off in WestWorld this month. God, such a terrible life.
She gets free run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you can see why she would get jaded of the place. Know everything like William does.
Yeah.
William's I know what you're about to do.
Yeah, I want to change the game. I want the stakes to be real.
Real stakes.
But I don't think she necessarily wants real stakes.
I think she does.
I think she does too.
Which is why she shoots a guy before she has sex with him.
That's a good reason to shoot.
She's she doesn't want the sure thing, which is a host.
Yeah.
Which is what she talks about.
But I think it's still something that has to be, I don't want to say daddy issues or something, but it has to be something to understand William.
Early on, he talks about how she blames him for the suicide of his mother.
Yeah.
Of her mother.
Okay. So I'm going through the theories here like that. What about people? One thing they didn't mention is what if? All right, it is said that Bernard steals that little ball out of that lab, right? Mm-hmm. And this is supposed to represent the consciousness of another person,
Possibly.
and then kills everyone else in the lab. Correct?
Yes.
Is it a possibility that is a consciousness for James Delos?
For who?
Delos.
Oh, well, it's possible.
Jane Delos, and
I'm sorry, I meant the Delos, but is it possible that's just the next version of his consciousness?
I mean, yeah, but where's the fun in that?
I mean, it's possible, or just a study. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they figured this out. Let me look at it.
But I mean, we think that Bernard took it right before the very end, like right before Ford shot. So I don't.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. That's what Ford would do. Is like send him to get
all of my work and everything to make sure it doesn't actually get to Delos' hands.
Right. Or hey, go get the one thing they covet the most, which is that damn ball.
But okay, so if that's what the orb is of Delos and everything, what's all the information in Peter?
I don't know. See, the Peter information is supposed to be all the information on the guest that they've collected.
But I don't think it's that anymore.
I don't know. You know, it's called the passenger, or key passenger or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. We don't know who Hale's working for. We don't know who Emily's working for.
We're supposed to assume that she's working for Delos.
You're supposed to assume.
Yeah.
Well, everything she touches and gives you a computer screen has those symbols of the Delos symbol and everything else. And of course, the Delos symbol is like the infinity symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and she's working to get Abernathy out. Like I said, I don't trust any of them.
No.
Well, here's the thing too: this is episode 4.
We have 6 more.
We have 6 more. This story could shift dramatically by the next 3 episodes from now. We'll be chuckling.
Listen to these idiots as they try to decipher through
everything. If
you
listened to us 3 episodes ago, we're sorry. But yeah, I mean that's the whole deal. Is that you just don't know, man. It's just there's nothing enough definitive. Everything is a guess.
Yep.
But I still go back to what would be the coolest reveal. I mean, some people are like, what if it's a consciousness of William's wife, and that will destroy him at the end? That is the picture of his past. By looking back at what he's done in his past, that is the ultimate destroyal and betrayal of himself. So if he could create a copy of his wife, I
don't think he loved
suicide.
I don't think he loved her nearly enough to create a copy of her.
Well, considering he fell in love with a robot.
Yeah. So I mean, unless it was
in the end, who do you think is who versus who? Like I feel like in the end, it's Ford versus William. Yeah. Who's Dolores against?
I just think Dolores let him play the part.
I don't know. I feel like everybody has their antagonist, protagonist. You know what I'm saying? Like we could see what William and Ford are.
Dolores and Teddy could be it. Realistically, maybe. I mean, like Teddy's going down where he's going, but she's going down where. And the reality of it is they're following the storylines in their own unique way.
I think it'll be Dolores and Hale against each other because of what she's doing to Abernathy, her dad.
Ooh.
Okay. Then it's Bernard, and I feel like Bernard Arnold, whatever we want to do, is kind of out there on his own. You know what I'm saying? That's why I think more about my theory about the fact that ball might be Arnold's final conscious or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't see why that lab would have Arnold's consciousness. That's the whole thing. Like, if these workers were in there working on things to try to create James Delos, whatever his name was, and so on, why would Arnold's consciousness be in a ball in the room?
No, it shows Bernard going there and him print it himself. He prints the ball. So we don't know what he uploaded to print.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? He just shows him print it, and then he puts it in his pocket. That's it. And then he kills everybody. Which we didn't talk enough about. Super badass, these drones. Dispatching everybody and then dispatching themselves.
Shoving home dudes.
Which
gets
I didn't really
impaled.
Yeah, I didn't really believe them, snapping their own necks. I don't know why. Like, it just didn't look real. And then I was like, why would them snapping their neck kill him? But
I'm with you.
It looked amazing.
Yeah, I don't care. It just looked cool.
Yeah, I mean, Rule of Cool kind of overrode it by the time it was over, but I was like, huh? Whatever. It looked amazing.
And when she was shooting them,
Yeah.
you know, and Bernard was like, "Don't raise your gun. As long as you don't threaten them, they're fine."
Elsie's like, fuck that, and blast away.
But when she started shooting them, I didn't think it would kill him.
No, I didn't think so either.
And then they just bled, like normal blood, and I was like, well, that's weird.
They're basically just hosts without skins on.
Which I really think all hosts should just look like this because these guys look phenomenal.
So
we need
badass.
them more. Like, we need more of these things in the show.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. There's no doubt.
But I think that's pretty much all of the episode, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It is. I mean, we let out some odd and details, but that's the meat and potatoes of the whole situation. And, of course, the preview, you know, next...
Don't talk.
It's basically just Shogun World, you know.
Oh, and did y'all see the the info for Shogun for the next episode? All in Japanese. That's a descriptor for the show.
Well, that just, you know what, that just tickles those people who think they know it, you know, can find out anything. We'll go translate it, and they're like, they're the smartest people in the world that they figured that stuff out, and blah, blah, blah. And it's probably something very generic.
It probably just like Shogun World Rocks or something like that.
Really,
like, well,
you wasted your time looking this up.
And then Google Translate probably got it wrong anyway because it never translates it correctly. And
but yeah, that's pretty much a wrap of the show, guys. You know, like I said, appreciate y'all interacting with us on the polls. We had a lot of good feedback on that. There was several good people that had really cool theories and reason why. I think we hit, you know, majority of those things, and I think that the episode was dynamic, and I'm really concerned they're going to be able to top it, you know. But
and then you'll watch it next week, and you'll be like, "Oh, it topped it. Yeah, we're okay, guys."
So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are too. You know, always y'all can catch us on Facebook and Twitter and everything else. And guys, if you haven't done it, if you see a post from us, make sure you hit a like. The more likes that are hit on those things, the more it becomes more prevalent on people's timelines.
Feel free to give it a share.
And then also, if you haven't done it yet and you enjoy the pod with you guys, you know, if you got a second to go give us a review on Stitcher or especially iTunes, you know, being the largest provider, that you could give us a positive review on it. It just takes a few clicks, and it really helps us out. So other than that, I think we're going to call it a night. This is BleedTV, and I'm Zach.
I'm Jake. And I'm Cash.
We'll see y'all next week.